Okay, good morning class. Today is my lecture for my NSTP class, uh, intended for September 12, Saturday morning from 8 to 11 a.m. Before I start my lecture on it in NSTP, I'd like to remind you that you should have your own notebook also in my subject in NSTP 1, separate from the notebook that you use for the CVN class. No? So do not mix it up with your notes in your CVN. So I want a separate part or notebook for the NSTP1 class. Okay? Then I will remind you also that in as much as we are separating the note taking when it comes to NSTP1 and CVN, I would also require you to have your folder which you will clip or put in all your assignments in NSTP1. No? Separate also from the folder that I requested you to have also in your CVN class. You need not send it to me anymore because there may be difficulties in sending, especially so that you come from different areas of the town or other towns. So what I require you is the hard copy which you will clip in the folder, and once I require you to submit the same, you should be ready to hand in to me the folder itself containing all the assignments that I have given you. Now, when you date your assignment, it has to be the date when I have given you that particular assignment. Say if I've given you September 12 as your assignment, the date that I should see there should also be September 12 and not any other dates when you made your assignment. It has to be the date when I have given the assignment. Okay, so much for that. I would also like to remind you about your project to fence your fire trees. You have already been given an assignment to take care of the specific fire tree that you have to care and nurture and to fence the same. So I hope that by this time you are already working on that. The deadline for everything, no? From the decoration, from the fencing, and also for evaluation by the judges will be on September, the last Saturday. I think that's September 26 or 27. It should be, everything has been prepared by that date. I think September 26. So if you have not yet done the fencing of your fire trees, I encourage you to do that anytime from now. Okay, so my lecture for today will have something to do with the constitutional basis of the NSTP. Okay, as I discussed to you before, by way of a review, NSTP is RA 9163. No, so RA would stand for Republic Act, and once we have the Republic Act, it is a law. It is a law that is enacted by Congress. No, it has passed through the lower chamber, which is the House of Representatives, and it went out to the Senate, which is considered as the upper chamber. Now, NSTP is by the way, NSTP stands for National Service Training Program. Now, this particular program is aimed at, first, number one is aimed at enhancing civic consciousness, and then the second, which I discussed before, it is also intended for defense preparedness, both intended for the youth, no? Civic consciousness and also defense preparedness. Civic consciousness because the youth will now have a program or project wherein they could articulate their demands, their interests, their value as citizens of this republic. So the NSTP was designed in such a manner that the youth can now participate in civil and political affairs through the NSTP, or the National Service Training Program. Now, when we develop your civic consciousness as well as your defense preparedness, it means that we are also developing your ethics of service. And not only that, it's not only ethics of service, ethics of service, but even your sense of nationalism and patriotism. So these are things that we should remember. No, this program is intended for you, not the youth, to prepare you for the bigger responsibilities that you may encounter later on when you become citizens, responsible citizens of this republic. So to prepare you for that, we want to inculcate in you civic consciousness and defense preparedness through the NSTP, and by doing so, we are also developing your ethics of service and also your sense of nationalism and patriotism. By way of a review again, for the benefit of those who were not around last Saturday, there are three major components of the NSTP. One is the ROTC, or the Reserve Officers Training Corps. The second is what we call the LTS, or Literacy Training Service. And then finally, we have the CWTS, of which we are offering here in this institution. CWTS would stand for Civic Welfare Training Service. Now, if we take these three major components one by one, when we say ROTC, well, this is for defense preparedness, right? But for this program is not offered in our institution because usually it is offered by state colleges and universities, or it could also be offered by private colleges and universities, provided that they have a student of those who are enrolled in ROTC should number about 350 or more. Okay? The second major component, which is the LTS, or the Literacy Training Service, is a program or a kind of service program wherein those who are enrolled in the LTS would have to go to the far-flung areas to educate the out-of-school youth and even the marginalized children in far-flung areas. So what do you teach there? Well, you teach literacy, meaning reading and writing, and then numeracy skills, meaning numbers or arithmetic. The purpose being so that there will be a continuity of education among these groups, no? The out-of-school youth as well, excuse me, the out-of-school youth as well as the poor children of marginalized families. Okay, so we go to the CWTS, of which you are taking right now, no? The Civic Welfare Training Service. Now, for the Civic Welfare Training Service, it is composed also of but it is composed of 7 areas, no, or subject matter, no. It pertains about educating you on health, on education, and education would be part of it would be the study of the Constitution. Then in the environment, educating you about the environment, then educating you about entrepreneurship, then safety also, recreation, and morals, or ethical standards in society. So these 7 areas are the components of what we call the CWTS. Caring for our environment or nurturing our environment would form part of the third component of CWTS. So we have introduced you already to one component, which is the third, environment, educating you about the environment. Okay, so much for that by way of a review. So we proceed now to the different constitutional basis why this program had been laid down by our government. under RA 9163. So, as I discussed the constitutional basis, I hope that you have your constitution beside you or with you so that you can follow through what I'm talking about. No? So, when I say these are the constitutional basis, it means that the law on NSTP was enacted. RA 9163 was enacted because there are provisions in the Constitution mandating the requirement of this program. No? So, if you already have a copy of the Constitution, join me in sifting through the different pages of our Constitution. The first constitutional basis would be Article 2, Section 4. No? So, when we go to Article 2, Section 4, that's on page 6, what do you see there? No? Article 2, Section 4 would state for, or rather it's not page 6, but it's page 5. Section 4, the prime duty of the government to is to serve and protect the people. No? The government may call upon the people to defend the state, no? And in the furtherance thereof, all citizens may be required under conditions provided by law to render personal, military, or civil service. So here, even if we have the state, it doesn't mean that it is the state that will act only, no? When we refer to the state, we are referring to the government, no? The government cannot act alone. It needs the collaboration of people, including the youth. And that is the reason why when the state would like you to render service in whatever form, whether military or civil, then it may require you to serve in whatever capacity you may have, no? But usually, if that's the case, if the state calls you to serve the country or the state, it is in the form of volunteerism. Later on, we will take that up also, no? The volunteerism under another law, no? So that's one of the constitutional basis, no? Section 4 of Article 2, which you can find it on page 5 of your book. Now, the second constitutional basis is